What's up, everybody? Subarus Hit here for Mustang Weekly Update number 10 on this Friday. So, what's new with the Mustang? Well, first, I want to apologize for the lack of videos in this past week. I didn't upload anything except for that little plaque video last weekend, and that's simply because of how cold it is. It's very hard to go out and film car reviews whenever the only free days I have, the weather is miserable. Today, for example, my weather app is telling me that it's 3 degrees Fahrenheit with a wind chill of -11. The car is telling me it's 8 degrees, so either the car's in denial of how cold it is or my weather app's wrong, but either way, it's really cold, so that's why I'm bundled up like the Michelin man here. And so yeah, but it's the car's doing really well despite the cold. And one thing, of course, with the cold weather is that there's snow, and so there's been not a ton of snow, but there has been a good amount of snow this week. One of the days it was really bad. I was fortunate I didn't have to drive, so I chose not to drive in that because I'm still running the all seasons. Thanks to Tire Rack, though, they were able to track down 2 more tires for me that are matching the ones that I already bought. So those will hopefully be getting installed on Saturday, and that way I will be good as far as snow tires, and I can actually take this out into deeper snow and really test how it does with snow tires. But I'm really impressed with these all seasons. They've done a spectacular job so far. I honestly think that if I really had to, I could even get by throughout this entire winter with just these all seasons. They're much better than the all seasons on the BRZ, that's for sure. And so I mean, they're the Goodyear Eagle RSAs, I believe, something like that. They're Goodyear Eagle all seasons, and they do a really good job. Whenever I was driving in snow, it wasn't too bad. Once I got out onto main roads, they were clear. But getting out of my neighborhood and stuff like that, the first 5 minutes of driving was totally snow-covered roads, and it did fine. I tested it in 2 separate scenarios. There's a little incline coming out of my neighborhood there, and I just left it in the normal mode and wanted to see just how well it did, just figuring it out on its own. And in that, it instantly kicked on traction control, trying to accelerate from a stop up this mild hill. And but even though the traction control was on, it still kind of figured out what it needed to do and got it done. But the main thing I want to talk about that really makes this car a lot better is this snow/rain mode that there is in the driving modes on the premium Mustangs, on the EcoBoost and the GT premiums. And what that does is it'll delay your throttle response, and it makes the car feel slower for sure. I don't know if it actually detunes the car, but the car definitely feels a lot more sluggish, like it doesn't want to go, but it feels more sure-footed, if that makes any sense. And so in that mode, yes, obviously you're not going for performance and you can't take off like you normally would, but it does do a really good job of finding grip. And I did that same incline in snow mode, and instead of traction controls immediately coming on, it just gradually applied throttle, and it almost feels kind of like all-wheel drive as far as the wheels figuring out exactly what they need to do, and the second there is any kind of slip, it corrects it and fixes it, instead of just spinning wildly and then cutting in throttle like the standard traction control mode does. So I want to test out this snow mode more in deeper snow, just to see just how well it does. But as of right now, this car does totally fine in the snow. Like I said, I'll wait until I drive in some really deep stuff, but on completely snow-covered roads where people were driving through and there was still a good inch of snow packed on the ground there, that kind of stuff, this car, it still gets around just fine even on all seasons. So, with a good set of snow tires on this, like I'm going to have this weekend, I have no doubts that this car will be just fine. I think, people have been asking me on Instagram even to compare how this drove in the snow versus the BRZ. The BRZ was a tail-happy car even in the dry, so in the snow you really had to kind of understand how rear-wheel drive works and how to, I guess, best handle the tail happiness in the snow. It wasn't bad, and I mean, the car gripped great with snow tires. You just kind of had to know that tail would come out if you weren't gentle with the throttle. This car being, a good 700 or 800 pounds heavier, I think that really helps a lot with, the more weight you have. Wow, it's really bright all of a sudden. With how much more weight you have with the Mustang, that definitely helps you out. And BRZ being lighter, it didn't cut through the snow as well. So I think that really helps the Mustang as well. But for those of you that have been curious, will this car handle okay in the snow? I think it'll be fantastic because, like I said, even with just all seasons on, so far it's gotten me everywhere I need to go fine. The only complaint I have with the all seasons is whenever it's like icy or something. I mean, obviously with ice you can only do so much anyway, because every tire will slip on ice, some more than others, but these tires really seem to slip on ice. And there was one point where I had to like stop somewhat quickly, and it was pretty slick out, and the ABS full kicked on, and it just slid for a bit, and that was a little bit scary, but it was fine. You know, obviously with winter driving, you just have to know to give yourself extra following distance and stuff. That's always a general good idea anyway. And so, you know, with those things in mind, I think I could get by just fine even with these all seasons. So I have some exciting news this week too, before I get on to the news portion of the weekly update, is that I'll be going to the Detroit Auto Show this year for the press days. Last year, if you were subscribed back then in January of last year, I went to the Detroit Auto Show for the industry preview days, which you know, weren't quite as good, but this year I'll be going for actual press days. I have press passes, so I'll be able to go and you know, check out everything as it's happening live. And so definitely be following me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, because it's really easy for me to quickly post something from my phone whenever I get a chance, whereas YouTube videos I have to sit down and edit them and stuff. So there will be tons of videos next week though, just warning you, but I think there'll be something for everybody that they're interested in at the show. You know, there's all kinds of sweet debuts from all kinds of awesome brands, and so should be something for everybody next week as far as videos go. So there'll be lots of those though, so definitely, like I said, all the social media links are in the description always for my videos. So I'm really excited to be going to Detroit. It's gonna be great. So and I'll also give you some impressions, you know, on how the road trip was going to Detroit and back on the new snow tires and everything. Should be awesome. So yeah, I'll send it back to me at the news desk for this week's news. Right, so for this week's news, the first thing is one of the cars that we'll be seeing in Detroit next week is the Infiniti Q60 Concept. And thanks to Jalopnik, we now have lots of different angles of how this car looks. And man, is it gorgeous. It is a beautiful concept. And remember, the Infiniti bosses said that what we're seeing is very, very close to production. So this is basically what I would bank on it looking like whenever it finally comes out. I mean, every single angle, I think it's a stunning looking car. Just absolutely gorgeous. I was floored by it when I first saw it. So, you know, I mean, the interior, everything looks very production ready. They could just build this tomorrow. The only thing I think that they may change is the headlights, which kind of do have a very concept car kind of look to them. I don't know if that would be cost effective to build those exact headlights, but aside from slightly toned down headlights, I think we're basically looking at the real thing here. I think this is what we're going to get in all of its glory. I mean, the leather is quilted on the inside. It looks like, you know, one of the high-end, you know, Audi RS7s or something like that. Gorgeous interior, and wow, it's a beautiful car. Glass roof and everything. Really spectacular. So very exciting to see that. No word about performance yet. So I don't know if it's just going to have the same 3.7 liter V6 like the G37 has or what, but you know, hopefully it will be at least rear-wheel drive, maybe an all-wheel drive version too. But man, I think that's a home run from Infiniti. So I really can't wait to see that in person next week. Two other very stunning cars that will be coming out soon that were spied this week are from Porsche, and that is the new 911 GT3 RS, which we've seen some spy shots of. You know, we've seen the fender vents and stuff, but someone just found one sitting in a parking garage, and they just took a bunch of pictures of it all close up, and it looks spectacular. It's going to be an awesome car. So awesome to see that. Also, the new Porsche Cayman GT4 was out spied, totally uncamouflaged. We've seen it, you know, with camo on before, but now just totally uncamouflaged. That looks gorgeous as well. So all kinds of beautiful cars coming out. Another car that will be coming out at Detroit that we got to see early was the 2016 Lexus Gs F. And this is a full F, not just an F Sport or something. And it's pretty mean looking. So I mean, it's powered by the same great V8 that you have in the RCF. 467 horsepower, 389 pounds-feet of torque, and it's actually lighter than an M5 by about 300 pounds or so. And I think it looks pretty cool, especially in this blue color that the F division is kind of famous for. It's a very brilliant blue color and looks great on the GSF. So very awesome to see that. Another Lexus car that was spied this week is the new Lexus Rx, which is, of course, their staple, big, you know, crossover SUV that everyone loves. And this one, I mean, lots and lots of camouflage. You can hardly even make out the headlights, but chances are it'll be especially squinty like all modern Lexuses are. And I'm sure it'll be pretty good. Hopefully, it'll kind of tone it down a little bit just to appeal to the masses the way that they like to do with the Lexus RX. And so, yeah, very interesting to see that. Switching gears to another auto show, the Geneva Motor Show is coming up in about 2 2 or 3 months, and Aston Martin's going to be releasing a new version of the Vantage there. Yes, the Vantage is still living on, and they're going to have a new version that's going to be, it's going to be called the Vantage GT3, and it's going to be a production car built for the streets, but obviously it's going to be extremely hardcore, based off the GT3 race car version of the Vantage, I'm sure, and should be a pretty epic car. There's, you know, this teaser image and teaser video, actually, just to kind of see what the front end silhouette's going to look like. Going to be pretty impressive looking, I think. So very awesome to see that, although I'm even more excited to see the new Vantage replacement, which we'll hopefully be seeing maybe this year, I'm guessing. But great to see another version of the Vantage. It's still a spectacular car. Switching gears again to another auto show, Scion is planning to reveal a new car at the New York Auto Show, which isn't until April, actually. And so it's going to be a sedan version of the IM. So the IM was, you know, the hatchback that we saw recently, and that is going to be coming out soon, you know, because they needed a new hatchback in the Scion division. But Scion's trying to breathe new life into the brand with a sedan as well. So not sure if it's going to also be called the IM or what, but they're going to be bringing a new sedan as the bottom line. No word as to, you know, since the IM is kind of a hatchback version of the European Toyota Corolla, they don't know if they're just going to, you know, make a new Toyota Corolla that has Scion influence in it, or if it's going to be another car they've brought over from Europe or Japan and turned into a Scion here. So not sure what's going on with that, but interesting news there, and we'll see that in New York. Right, so now for some non-auto show news. The first story is a report here saying that the next generation Audi A8, which is currently under development, that it'll actually be able to drive itself up to 37 miles per hour. And that doesn't just mean cruising along in traffic, which is still pretty awesome on its own, you know, that a lot of these, you know, luxury sedans can drive themselves in traffic now, but this one will actually be able to navigate city driving, so corners and everything. It'll be able to find its own parking spot and park itself. So it's literally going to do everything. So if you live in a place like New York City where you never go beyond 37 miles per hour probably, this car, you literally wouldn't have to do anything. And I mean, it sounds really amazing. We'll see how well the execution is, but Audi's a pretty high-tech company, so I wouldn't doubt them too much. But that's pretty impressive to be able to, you know, navigate corners and be able to, you know, do everything, especially in chaotic traffic patterns that sometimes you see in cities. That'll be impressive to see, and that's going to take a lot of development, I'm sure, from Audi, but very awesome to see that. I can't wait to actually see it in action. That'd be amazing. And two stories of some not-so-great news this week. The first is that the Cadillac CTS, the new one, even though it's a spectacular car, it's not selling very well right now. And so Cadillac has actually cut the price between $1,000 and $3,000, and so they're trying to do that in efforts to, you know, obviously get more people to buy the car. And there's no reasons as to why the CTS isn't selling well, because, I mean, it got great reviews, a lot of, you know, press attention and stuff whenever it came out, and it's a gorgeous-looking car, in my opinion. I don't know if it's because the Q system is so terrible. That's been one of the big complaints with all new Cadillacs, is the infotainment is awful and very hard to use. I haven't used it myself, so I can't speak about that. But yeah, not sure what the deal is with that. But very interesting to see that they're dropping the price on that. I know, you know, they said that the prices, you know, dropping on the Dodge Viper worked for them, so maybe it'll work for the CTS as well. I hope so, because the CTS is a great car. The other not so great news this week is that there was a cargo ship carrying 1,200 Jaguars and Land Rovers and a few Minis that was deliberately run aground because of how bad it was listing, and so it's in the English Channel tipped over, and all those beautiful Jaguars and Land Rovers, which I'm sure there's probably some F-types in there, are probably all destroyed because of how bad the ship has tipped over onto its side there, and that's very painful. I don't know if they're going to take pictures of the damaged cargo inside, but seeing probably maybe even hundreds of F-types ruined would really be unfortunate. So very sad to see that all those Jaguars and Land Rovers never got a decent life, but maybe there'll be some in there that are fixable. And the last story for this week, go out on a positive note, right, is that Subaru has hit 500,000 sales in the U.S. for 2014, which is a new record for the brand. They've been breaking records consistently here with their exponential growth, and it's awesome to see, you know, Subaru. They're still a great brand. I don't think they've really sold out. They're still, you know, keeping to a lot of their core ideals, and it's finally just hitting well with all the Americans here. So, yeah, 500,000 sales, that is amazing. So, huge congrats to Subaru for that. And so, yeah, that's it for all the news this week, guys. So I'll send it back to me in the car. Alrighty, so I'll leave you guys a nice little acceleration here, like I always do. A little bit of wheel wheel spin, lots of wheel spin that time. Oh, these cool tires plus the salty roads makes it a little more tail happy, which is lots of fun for sure. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next week. Take care.